So everybody, welcome to the second full cup, and a full cup is, of course, where one of our distinguished mastermind members shares with us a tip that they have learned that has solved an issue. And today we're going to be hearing from Conor Parrish of FCT Water. Conor, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing what you know about Evernote.
Awesome. Thanks, Trace. Guys, thanks for taking some time to listen. So let me share my screen here. Is anyone on this call, have you used Evernote? Are you familiar with Evernote? Or is this kind of a new tool for everyone?
Be new to me.
I have.
Okay.
A little bit.
Cool. So what I'll do is I'll basically just kind of give a high level of, what Evernote is, and then some of what I think are the key features that I really like to utilize every day. And then feel free to ask questions or anything like that. I would say I use it every day, so I'm an expert in that way, but maybe I'm not an expert as far as maybe using it to its full capacity like every software. But so really, Evernote, it's hard to come up with a concise way to define what Evernote is, but essentially it's a place where you can dump a bunch of information, to put it succinctly. So within Evernote, you can create notes, which is essentially like a document. And then you can create notebooks that you can put each note in, depending on how you want to organize things. And then you can also assign tags to those notes. So there's kind of like 3 different ways of organizing things. You can have just the notes, you can have the notebooks, and then you can have the tags. So depending on, and this is one of the reasons that I really liked it. I have a tendency to overthink things and try and over organize myself to death. I think Eric talked about his pride in being able to have like 15 subfolders all neatly organized. So I have a tendency to do that as well, and it just was taking too much time. So Evernote allowed me to just start dumping stuff into a place that I could easily find it. So because I have so much stuff in Evernote, I thought it would be easier to pull stuff from their kind of marketing, because otherwise you'd be seeing all sorts of stuff of my personal, whatever, notes, business, all that. So a lot of what I have on here is just kind of some generic stuff that they put together that, to be honest, is a better representation of how to use it anyways, because they probably make their notes look a little bit better than mine. So the first thing that I kind of wanted to point out here is a couple things. One thing that I like about Evernote is you have the desktop to use it on your computer. You can use it on a web browser. So if you're not on your computer, you can log on to evernote.com, log into your account, access everything. There's a phone app, iPhone app, Android, iPad, basically any device that you have, you can access any of your information at any time. If you have the app on your phone or on your computer, you can access those notes on or offline. So like if I'm on a plane, I can still pull up my notes, access everything. And then when I get back online, it'll sync it back. So it's available. Whatever I did during that offline session will, as soon as I get connectivity again, will sync across all the devices automatically. So that's the other thing. Back in the day when it was less common to have things automatically syncing all the time, I liked Evernote because I could be working on something and I knew it was saved no matter what. Whereas I'm sure we've all been there when we're working on a Word document, don't hit save and you lose it all. So that was nice too. So one way that I started using it was at like conferences and everything like that, where I just start dumping everything into there, into a note, and then, I can organize it however I want. You can put pictures in a note, you can put videos in a note, you can put audio recordings in a note, PDFs, Word documents, pretty much anything you want, you can put into a note. And then as you can see in this example of meeting notes, you can make charts with checklists, check boxes, bullet points, all of those things. So the flexibility is really nice. So you can pretty much organize yourself and your thoughts however is best for you. And I think that that's really interesting. So Recently, they just came out with kind of an update that has this home screen. So when you log on to the really the web or any of the devices, you get this home screen now, which has your most recent notes up top. You can pin a note. It's really customizable in terms of what you want to do. It has this scratch pad, so you can just quickly throw some notes into there that you can then later put into a real note. And then shortcuts and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like a central hub for being able to kind of see what's going on within your Evernote account. This is kind of like the general view when you're starting to look at notes. You've got over here on the left, you've got home. You can make shortcuts. So for me, on shortcuts, I have like my 12-week year to-do list, my vision, like a brainstorming note where I just put in, like, if I get an idea, I just dump it into that note and deal with it later. So you can create shortcuts to easily access notes that are more frequently used for you on that left side there. Or you can click, all notes, and then it's going to sort it by however you decide to filter it. And you can do it with this little like clip view, or you can do a list view, or you can change that view. And then the note itself, once you select it, shows up over here on the right. And then also here on the left, you can, go sort by note. You can view your notebooks, view your tags. And then if you're collaborating, you can see notes that people have shared with you as well. And then across the top, you've got all the normal kind of stuff you would expect to see for being able to work on that document. You can bold, underline, change font size, all of that through there. And then under this more is how you start to go in and like create tables and do things like that. So and I'll go through each one of these with some pictures and examples, but to me, the key features and the reasons that I really like Evernote, one are the fact that it's got the desktop, the mobile app, and the web browser. I can access all of my information no matter where I'm at, because I always essentially have access to one of those. So if I'm on my phone with a customer, I can quickly pull something up. If I'm out with my family and I needed to save something, I can throw it into there on my phone real quick. And so that part's really nice. One of the very first things that kind of got me into Evernote was business card management, believe it or not. I was getting stacks and stacks of business cards, and I'm like, what am I going to do with this? And it's got the scanning, that basically the same scanning feature that the Rocket Book has. And so I originally got it to start scanning business cards. And what you do when you scan the business cards is it scans it, and then it'll actually extract the information from the card into like a contact card for you. So that was pretty cool. And then from there, it started to escalate into all the other uses. Once I had the software and started using it for the business cards, I started to see what else I could use it for. Email forwarding is a huge one for me. So if I get an email that has a bunch of good information that I like, or attachments that I want to be able to access later, or an important email that I don't want to get cleared out, our email clears once a year. So I can't access emails older than a year unless I archive them. I'll just forward.
It's only like a little. What else do you need to do?
I just forward them over into Evernote. That way I have them in the future. The search is amazing in Evernote. That's, to me, one of the strengths of Evernote, and the reason that it is able to keep me so organized without me having to overthink it. It searches everything within Evernote. You can search your handwritten text, it'll find it. It'll find it if it's written on a whiteboard. It'll find it if it's in a business card. It'll even find it if it's in a Word document that is attached as well.
I have in the past,
if everybody can mute, except for Connor, that'll help our audio a little bit.
So the searching is, again, amazing. And I think one of the coolest parts is that it searches into like Word documents if you have one attached to there, or PDFs or anything like that. So if I know so for me, all I have to remember is a keyword or a topic or something that's associated with that note, and it'll find that note. So I don't have to have the exact title of the note or anything. I just need to remember something that was somewhere within that note. Web Clipper is a cool tool, and we can go through that. PDF annotations is a cool feature that I use quite a bit. And then templates. So when you create notes, you don't have to redo the work if you're doing the same types of notes. So this is the mobile app. Again, this is kind of that home page you see here on the left. And then on the right is when you click that new note, it gives you the options of some of the things that you can do to generate that note. So you can, add an attachment, take a photo, scan a document, just get a blank note. You can sketch with like your finger, or if you have like an iPad with one of the Apple pens or whatever they are, you can utilize that. You could record audio, put in a reminder. So there's lots of options just quickly available. When you open the app, you hit it and you can put it in pretty quickly. So here's an example of the business card scan. This was early on. If you don't get the lighting right, obviously it'll give a glare on a glossy card, but it'll then extract that data into a contact card like this on the left and then save the picture. So that way, if for whatever reason the extraction has a typo or something's wrong, you can go reference back to that card and make sure you get the actual information. Some business cards are laid out better than others as far as being able to actually pull the information and put it in the proper fields. But if it doesn't, you can just manually go through and fill that out to make sure you have that saved. And then you can export it. Like if you're on your phone, you can export it to be a contact on your phone or however you want to do that. For me, I just leave a lot of stuff in there, and I just, whenever I need that number, I just search it, and you can just click, this call number from your phone and it'll call it, or that call icon. So here's an example of email forwarding. Colin had just sent me this the other day, and it was something that I knew I'd probably want to reference back to in the future. So I have it gives you like a unique email address for your Evernote account. And so I just forward it to, it's like cparish718@evernote.com or whatever. And you forward it in. You can type notes and all that into the email that'll come in with this. And actually, so this is an example of the email forward, but also on the search, I knew that this document talked about net driving pressure, and I wanted to find something about that. So on the search, I just, up here in the search bar, I just typed in net driving pressure, and it pulled up this note because within this document, it talks about net driving pressure. I've got terrible handwriting, and so I just wanted to show you that I searched chapter and it found chapter on my notes here. So that was pretty cool. So obviously, if you have really, really bad handwriting, there's a chance that it won't find it, but it does a decent job at pulling stuff out of handwritten notes. So again, the search is really nice. I used to be really particular and like handwrite my notes and then go transfer them over and like type them out into a note. But through time and as I've gotten busier, I don't do that anymore. And this has been a savior, being able to search my handwriting. So the web clipper is another really cool tool. Basically, there's a little icon on like whatever web browser you have up near the bar where you like enter the URL or whatever. There'll be like a little Evernote icon. And if you click that, give me one sec. If you click that, this little black box will show up on your web browser. And then you're able to choose, there's different ways it'll clip it and format it. On this one, I just clipped it as an article. So you can see this green area is what's going to get put into Evernote. But you can do a simplified article where it takes out like the pictures and it condenses it down into like just the text. You can do a full page, which would expand this out so it is exactly as you're seeing it on the website. You can do a screenshot. You can just bookmark it, really whatever you want to do. up here is the title of what that note's going to be. It defaults to what like the title of that page is, but you can change it to whatever you want. And then you can choose, you know, what notebook it's going into, add a tag, and then even some comments associated with that. And so what that'll do is it'll pull that into your Evernote. That way you save that page for the future, and then you can annotate the page and add, you know, arrows and circle stuff or whatever you want to do if you highlight, if you find that important. So this is another one as I'm researching things or I find something online that I want to capture, I just throw it into Evernote and know that in the future I can search for whatever that topic is and easily find that again. So here is the PDF annotation tool. So basically when you put a PDF into Evernote, you can click it using the annotation tool. And then it gives you all these options on the side to put arrows in, be able to type into there, put boxes around things, highlight, pretty much everything you would expect to be able to do in terms of, you know, highlighting or gathering information on a PDF you can do. It gives you this option to include an annotation summary, which I love. So for example, on this one, I had done that, and the annotation summary then comes, it's at the very, it creates a new first page of the PDF, and it's everything that you did consolidated into that first page as far as highlights or annotations. So it gives you like a summarized view of all the things that you found were important, found to be important within that PDF. And then on the annotation, you'd be able to click it. Like if I clicked here, and it would take you to that spot in the document right away. And then the templates, again, it's got some preloaded templates. It got like this meeting note is one that is just preloaded. When you go create a new note, it'll give you some options of different templates you want to do that are default. Meeting note is one of them that they created. So that this is an example of that, where you'd put in, you know, date, time, goal, who's attending, agenda, notes, and then the action items from that meeting. I use this all the time. I think it's a really good way to keep our meetings organized, and then I can just transfer that into the next follow-up meeting. I created a 12-week plan template for myself. So every quarter I can just create that template, then go in and fill in my goals and tactics and everything from the 12-week plan that I'm putting together. And then there's a couple more. They have, you know, project plans, they have a meal planner. But if you go online, they have a library of templates that other people have made. And there's just about anything you can imagine in terms of what's been created out there that you can then like save into your account. All right. And then last but not least, it is free, but the premium version is what I've had for the last 6 years. So to be honest, I'm not even really sure what gets separated out between the free and the premium. It kind of breaks it out here. The premium for me is well worth it at the $8 a month. And then I've thought about going and exploring the business path a little bit. I haven't done that yet because I'm not sure that I want to force everyone in our group to do the same thing. This works for me, but I'm not sure that it would work as well if I forced everyone to do it. I think it just has to be your personality and how you like to organize and think things through. So that's pretty much it as far as like the real high level. I'm sure that there's questions or things that, you know, I didn't maybe touch on enough, but what do you guys have for me?
Connor, you want to switch us back to full screen?
Sure.
I have questions, Connor. Just I wanted to give somebody else a chance to go first.
Sounds like it's you, Russ.
So you answered a lot of them. I guess the question is OCR. Can you talk to Evernote and it will type in what you're saying? Or is that it'll just either record your voice or you can type in what you're saying?
No, you can use dictation and it'll type it out as well.
Okay. Is there any sync functions with like Outlook or things of that nature that you're aware of?
There's a lot of integrations with different apps. I haven't explored them so much, but I know that that's one of the things that if you go to their website, it talks about app integrations and stuff like that. So there's a lot of ways to make it probably even more powerful or more integrated in with what you do. But for me, I tried to keep it simple, so to speak, and I haven't really explored the integration so much.
Gotcha. I was just wondering because when I
But
go to an
Go ahead,
account,
sorry.
I was just saying, when I go to an account and I open up my appointment from that account is where I usually put all my notes
Okay.
from going there. And this way that becomes my diary. I
Yep.
do like this idea. I'm thinking about all kinds of great things that we could do with it, but
Mhm.
I just want to know that, you know, if I go to a particular day, and I don't know if it's calendar related as well, that, you know, I would just go to Evernote and see what I did on that particular day. That
Right.
might be good too.
Yeah. So when I go to, for an example, like an account, I'll go in and like for a survey, whatever the account name is, this address, building, then I'll type all my notes into that. If I have pictures, I'll pull them into there. Pictures of whatever pump setting, whatever I take pictures of, go into there. That way I can easily go back and quickly see everything that I did at that account. And I know exactly what was there, and it's easy for me to refer back to. If, for example, if it falls off the radar for a year and then you hear back from the customer, you don't have to go repeat like, okay, what do you have again? What's there? So I have pictures of boilerplates, pictures of all the equipment, all of that stuff that's just saved into a note.
So you think in the template thing, you could actually make a survey, like a survey of a system.
Yep.
So
Yeah, you could easily
actually
create a survey form or whatever that might be that you then could share with your team. So they would have that template saved and everyone has it in the same format.
So my last question is, how much updating do you do? Do you like take all your notes all day? Do you do anything when you come home at night or at the end of the week? Or is there anything that you know, you take from the field, but then you come back to your computer and reorganize?
I do some of that. It just kind of depends. I still like to handwrite stuff.
Mhm.
So just depending on what it is, and I don't want to necessarily be on my phone or on my computer during meetings and stuff like that. So I'll handwrite notes and I'll either take a picture and pull it in, or a lot of times I don't even take notes, which maybe is a bad thing. But then when I'm done, I'll go through at the end of the day and write down all my notes as I remember them. So it just kind of depends on what I'm doing. Certain meetings, I just don't like to be glued to like, hold on a second, I got to write this down or all that. So I just remember them and then I'll go in and create an Evernote note in my car quick and type them or whatever to consolidate.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Thank you. I thought that was really helpful.
Yeah, no problem.
Connor, would you say that this?
Connor.
Go ahead, Mike.
I have a couple quick questions too. So how do you use Rocketbook? You mentioned it, but do you use that at all?
So yes and no. I used it for a while and then I was too lazy I kept getting annoyed with having to clean an entire notebook at once. And I'm left-handed. And so I would have to write slower than I normally do. So it would dry before I drug over the front of it.
Can you just do it upside down? I don't know. My mom's left-handed.
Yeah, no matter what, I'm coming across what I'm writing. So
yeah.
it's not the spiral that bothers me. It's the ink doesn't dry quite as fast. So I'm back to just like a normal notebook now, just because I was impatient with that. But yeah, when I did use Evernote, it scans or when I did use Rocketbook, it scans really nicely over into Evernote. Because
I haven't checked. You can just dump it in. That's one of the locations you can put into
Evernote. You can choose
Okay.
that as one of your symbols, and it'll go in as a note. And because the thing I did like about the Rocketbook is every page is framed in black, so it makes that scanning really neat no matter what surface you're on.
Right.
Because it knows exactly where the page ends. But to be honest, the scanning feature of Evernote is really good on just about anything. Like it's pretty
Okay.
intelligent when you're like, even just a normal notebook, it'll scan the page you're trying to scan, or a whiteboard, it'll pick up just the whiteboard if you're taking a picture. I don't know, if you drew about a bunch of stuff off and on a whiteboard in a meeting, it'll quickly grab that whiteboard and save it in.
Okay, and then the PDF annotating, is that much better? Have you used like Acrobat, just the standard?
I
like,
haven't
PDF?
used Acrobat. I'm sure it's similar, right?
Well, it's terrible, so I hate it.
Oh.
It's the worst like annotation
Okay.
tool I think I've ever seen. So I just wonder if it's quick and easy in your mind, at least to like write notes on it on the PDFs and highlight things. Then
I find it pretty easy.
okay,
I like to use instead of like highlighting, because that's kind of a pain, especially on a laptop if I don't have a mouse. I use like, I don't know if you remember in the presentation, they have those like box feature where you can just pull a square around like a paragraph. I tend to use that and just capture the whole paragraph as opposed to highlighting, but sometimes I highlight stuff.
okay, I think that's all I had. Thanks.
But what I love is that it gives you that summary of everything you did on the top. Because then if you do it right, then theoretically that's all you need to refer back to in the future.
And Mike did ask my question. So Evernote isn't a substitute for the Rocketbook. I haven't bought one yet, but I was strongly considering it, given all of Trace's like rah-rah Rocketbook. But I'm just looking for anything to get organized, and it seems like the two together work well.
Oh yeah, they would work extremely well together for sure. I would still be using the Rocketbook if it weren't just for me being particular with my left-handed writing and smearing my writing all the time. And then I'd go back and I'd erase it because I don't like the smudge. And then so anyways.
So it's kind of almost more just a different way to organize it than whatever the default is that Rocketbook comes loaded with.
Rocketbook, yeah, I mean, Rocketbook kind of lets you choose your own path.
Okay.
So yeah, for me, Evernote just became the area where I put everything, as opposed to creating a bunch of like folders and stuff like that on my computer. I liked Evernote just because if it's in there, I can search for it and it pops up right away, and I don't have to spend time like, where did I put this? What folder is it in? And then clicking my way through.
Right. And so that is saved to, I guess, their servers and not necessarily on your device.
Yeah, that's probably a better question for Mr. IT. But no, yeah, it's stored with their network or their servers and across, and then it's in the cloud.
Right. All right. Cool. Awesome.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I use it for. To be honest, the business card piece of it is great. That, like I said, that's what I started, but now that's just a small part of it, right? But the second I walk out of a meeting, I just scan the business card into there and throw it away. I don't have to worry about the business card ever again.
Connor, how easy is that to import over to Outlook?
The contact,
Mhm.
like the business card.
Yeah, so after you scan it, can you put it in?
I think it's pretty easy, although to be honest, I haven't ever done it. It's something that would make sense to do, but I just have never done it.
Any more questions for Connor? Well, I gotta tell you, if you were ever at a conference, does somebody have one?
Yeah, my question is, you talked a little bit about it, but I'm curious if you've tried to share any of this content with anyone else. I know you said you're not going to do it across your whole organization, but have you done it at all? And what have you found? If you did?
So one of my really good friends, not within the industry, uses it too. And so we had a project we were working on just outside of work, like a nonprofit thing. And so we did some planning on that and shared notes back and forth, and it works really nice. You have collaborative notes and stuff like that. The files that you create, like when you share it, isn't like an Evernote file. So the person you share it with has to have Evernote to be able to like open that file. You can export your note as a PDF and then send the PDF, but obviously when you save it as a PDF, if there's certain things within there, they're not going to be able to access it, right? Like if you have that Word document that's not expanded out, they'd just see the Word document. They wouldn't actually see what was in it.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
But yeah, I think it would be a really nice tool for collaboration for sure. And
Any other questions?
there's more features on the business side that I'm not really aware of, but I know you can create like pods and teams. So like you can be assigned to a team, and then that team has like a home screen for that team that shows all the notebooks and notes within that pod or that team and stuff like that. So like a big company could have, you know, their marketing team, and they would be in the marketing pod, and then they'd all have access to the same stuff and have some certain things like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, Connor, one of the reasons I was so excited about the Rocket book is I was trying to be as organized as you are. You've done a great job of, we've attended some conferences together, and you'll take notes, and then months later, you and I will be talking about something and you are instantly able to recall it. Is it because you're using Evernote?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember enough to know where's like a snippet of something, and that's perfect for me because then I just type that into the search and it pulls it up, and then I have exactly, you know, where it came from, the context, what we were talking about. So I think I've emphasized this quite a bit, but the search piece of it really is amazing. So as long as you're consistent in terms of putting everything in there, you can easily get it whenever you want it. And that's my favorite part of it, right? If it's all saved onto your desktop, there's no real good way to search stuff and find it, especially stuff within a document. You have to remember what you saved it as. And so that's what makes that part tricky compared to something like Evernote. And again, it got me out of this cycle of trying to, as my life got more complicated and my job got more complicated, it got me out of this cycle of trying to like constantly change my foldering system and what folders I had and subfolders and all of that. Now I don't even really worry about it. Like I have a notebook in Evernote that's miscellaneous, and probably 90% of my notes go into miscellaneous just because it makes no difference, really.
That's
You
gonna stress me
mentioned
out if I
something
do
that I thought was amazing, doing the survey on the Evernote. So how would you recommend if some of us wanted to set that up, and we have a template that we're using now, or maybe we just have a sheet that we're printing out and writing on? What's the best way, in your opinion, for us to transfer that over into Evernote and release that to our team?
So if you go into Evernote, it's really easy to, like, when you create a new note, you can actually just build out and format it however you want. And then it's really easy to click save as template. And then that's just there forever, the template. And then you would just share that with your team, that Evernote file, and then they would save it as a template into their account. And obviously, like any sort of like electronic document, you have that structure, but then if they needed more space or more rows on a chart or whatever, they would just add that as they went through the survey.
I bet to get going, you could just take a picture of your survey and put it in.
Yeah, you could just put a picture in, and then as long as they're capturing all that information in bullet points or whatever, you're still going to have the information. So it doesn't even necessarily, or you could handwrite it onto the survey, like Russ was saying, and basically just take a picture of the completed survey, and it's there too. So there's obviously multiple ways you could organize information for a customer. You could create a notebook for that customer and then have a bunch of individual notes within that notebook that are associated with that customer. You could have a note for that customer, and just it's a really long note that at like this date you put this new information in, this date you put this new information in. You could just have a tag for that customer. And so then you have the note, and then you just tag it to that customer. So there's a lot of ways you could do that. And I do it kind of a combination of all of that. For really big customers, I'll create a note that I know I'm going to have a lot of notes with. I'll create a notebook, but I've also got tags for customers. And I also just have one note for a smaller customer where all their information lives on that one note.
So in that case, you just continue the note on.
Yep. Yeah, I just continue it on the top, and then the older stuff just drops down. But I know it's there.
Got it.
Any last
Hey,
questions
Connor.
before we wrap up?
Sounds like maybe,
I
was that
have one,
Eric?
Trace. Yes. Are you able to add live photos, like if you were editing a template, kind of like if you had not Rocket, Evernote up on your phone and the template on your phone, typing in info, then you want to add a picture. Could you take a picture right then and it would populate right in?
Yep.
Or do you kind of have to insert after?
No. You can take a picture through the app and it'll automatically go right there.
Got it. Thanks, Connor.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, if you had like an iPad or something, you could, click the button, take picture, and it just goes right there. A lot of the examples I thought was interesting on like their marketing were for like realtors and stuff like that, where they have like all the client preferences and they have pictures, or like architects with like arrows to like, oh, they don't like this feature in this picture or whatever. So again, there's lots of pretty interesting ways you can annotate the picture too, right? So you can have your picture and then you can highlight or circle something in the picture. So yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to just dump everything into one spot, and you kind of have like a consolidated file, so to speak, for that customer.
Any other questions?
So to get started, Connor, would you say you start with the free one and then work your way, or do you start with the
that's a good question. I'd probably start with the free one. Like I said, I don't remember what you miss.
Well, I know the annotation of the PDFs is one of them.
Okay, yeah. For me, I think I just pay once per year, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm grandfathered into because I've had it for 7 years, but I just pay like a one-time thing. So I don't even really think, like, I pay for it once and then it's out of sight, out of mind until October, right? I think I expense it now, but for a while I was even still paying it. I was paying for it personally just because it was so helpful. So I guess I can't speak. I think you'll start to get a feel for it pretty quickly once you have the free version, that you'll probably upgrade to the premium, which is, I guess, why they do it. Yeah. But I've had it for 6 years and I've only had premium, so I can't speak so much to the free version. Although my wife, when she was in nursing school, I showed her this and she only had the free version, and she did all of her, lecture notes, everything for nursing school completely with the free version with no issues.
And they do have on the website, I just checked, that they have a 7-day premium trial. So you can start with the free and you can upgrade for 7 days, try it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I think I would like to get used to using it first and then move on. Yeah,
I think that's good. You just got to get in the habit of it being your kind of go-to thing to open up and put stuff in, right? But I mean, even silly things for me, like all my grocery lists, like throughout the week, if I recognize that I need something at the store, I just put it into my grocery list note, right? And then when I go to the store, I clear out that note, except for the things that were maybe like out of stock, and that just stays on for the next time I go. Literally anything you want can go in there, which is pretty cool.
Connor, with the grocery list, can you share that with your wife so if she goes to the store, she knows what you need and vice versa?
Yeah, if she doesn't use Evernote anymore, just because now that she's an actual nurse, she's not like having to do, like, it wouldn't be that helpful for her. But I could, I'll send her a screenshot if I need to. But to be honest, I go to the store 99% of the time, so that's irrelevant.
So, and I guess another part of my question is, since you had let's say you guys were using it like that, you have the premium version, she's got the free version. Can you still share things?
I believe so. Yeah, I don't think that would stop you from being able to share.
Yes, you can.
Well, cool. And this is very similar, as you mentioned in the beginning, to OneNote, which is a Microsoft product. Many of us have Office 365, so that's built into that contract. As you mentioned, it is much more difficult to go through. It's not quite as streamlined as Evernote. But I think just using your presentation today will allow people to go through OneNote and figure some things out, how to use it.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of the features are common across them. I just don't I don't know how user friendly it is. I don't know anything about OneNote. So I'm obviously now stuck with Evernote. I think there's a way to like transfer all my notes if I wanted to switch, but at this point I'm pretty much married to Evernote and I'll be staying with Evernote.
Well, Connor, thank you so much for sharing this. I know several of us are going to go see what we can do and how we can be more efficient at taking notes, and especially with the recall, that's, I think, a lot of our issue. We know we took the note, but how do we find it?
Yep.
So thanks
Yeah,
for sharing all that. And any final words?
No, if you guys have questions or whatever, feel free to reach out, call me. I'm happy to talk about it.
Awesome,
Awesome.
Connor. I think that was an excellent presentation, and I know you're going to do amazing at the AWT training.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Connor.
Awesome. Well, I'll see everybody on Tuesday. Thanks again for attending, and stay safe out there.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Connor.
Thank you, Connor.
Thanks, Connor. Have a good one.